Give you the gavel, we threw it away.
It's 7. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see a full house. So it's 7 o'clock. We're going to call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Brooks,
Here.
Kushner, Lund,
Here.
Bentley,
Here.
Holmberg,
Here. Okay, item number 3.3.1, approval of city council minutes.
Move to approve?
Brooks,
Yes.
Kushner,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Holmberg.
Yes. Okay, item number 4, adoption of agenda.
Mayor Holmberg, if I can, the Diversity and Inclusion Committee has requested to move the Black History Month presentation to the February 28th meeting.
Move to approve as amended minutes. Agenda, sorry.
And we have this. Brooks,
Yes.
Kushner,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Holmberg.
Yes. Okay, presentation. 5.2, Johnson County Economic Development Corporation update. Tracy. It's always good to see you.
Well,
Welcome.
hey, guys, how you been? I left some handouts at your place. Those are our transformational past accomplishments that from 2021. We'll talk a little bit about those as we kind of go through the presentation. But again, I'm Tracy Brantner. I'm the Economic Development Director here for Johnson County. I'm actually your contract economic development provider for Warrensburg, for the city of Warrensburg. We also have other contract for services, obviously with the county, with the city of Holden, with the city of Knobnoster, the city of Leeton. And so they're also our economic development partners. So basically those contract for services are written such that we're providing economic development services for those communities in whatever way they want it delivered, in whatever economic development means to them. So we've been your contract economic development service provider for as long as I've been here. So that's almost 16 years now. And it's been a pleasure to work with each and every one of you through the all the efforts of economic development in the community. And I look forward to 16 more years, right, everybody? All right. So as I go through the presentation, I always say this. Have I got it wrong? Oh, well, that would help, yes. Okay. I always start out by saying I'll try to keep my remarks quick and brief. So at any time, if you have any questions or concerns, I hope that you go ahead and just express those and we can talk about those, and I'll try not to take too far of a deviation from the presentation. So tonight's agenda is basically in our contract for service. We always enjoy coming and being a part of the city council meeting. But as part of our contract for services, we're required to be here and in front of you and provide an update in economic development and what we're working on and things like that on a periodic basis. And so we're kind of checking that box tonight, but I can tell you, if you need me to come and speak at any point, I hope that you'll just reach out. My door is always open. If you have any questions or concerns, I hope that you'll go ahead and reach out, and we don't have to do this as a presentation, all the time. So we're going to talk about JCEDC a little bit for those in the room that don't know who we are and what we do. And then we're going to talk about the economic landscape, because that's going to lead into these transformative 2021 highlights, and then next steps for 2022 is kind of what I'd like to get done for this evening. So as you know, JCEDC is a 501c3 nonprofit organization. We are a public benefiting organization. We get most of our funding from public entities, either through contract for services or other ways or methods, either through cities or the state or the University of Missouri. So we have lots of contracts providing economic development services, not just here in Johnson County, but really in the region and across the state. We do abide by the Missouri open meetings law. So all of our meetings are open to the public. Anybody is always welcome to come and join our meetings. We have a hybrid format. So if you'd like a Zoom link, you can Zoom in with us, or you can come up to the county courthouse on the 3rd floor. We do have a Zoom room up there. You can join us up there if you'd like to, or, come in person, whatever suits you best. And so we would welcome you to attend those meetings. They are usually the 4th Thursday of every month at 4 or 3:30, sorry, used to be 4, 3:30 PM in the afternoon. Kind of a tough time if people are working, but that seems to work for most of our board members. We do work from a data-driven action plan. We are very key performance indicator driven. We are very mindful of measures, and we try to stay on track with those measures when at all costs. Sometimes we have to deviate, like last year with COVID and some of the other things that occurred in disruptions and things. So our board of directors, Casey and Danielle, are on our board of directors, and we appreciate their leadership, and along with the rest of the board members. For those that might not know who they are, Taylor Elwell is the mayor of Wheaton. Greg Hall, you probably know, works at FNC Bank. Diane Thompson is our secretary. She is the clerk at the county. And then Andy Cole is our treasurer at the Warrensburg School District superintendent. So, and the rest of I won't read the rest of the members, but should be all faces that you recognize, hopefully, and been longtime community leaders in Warrensburg and throughout Johnson County. Well, that didn't work. So I have a plan B. It's always good to have a plan B in the world of economic development. We do have a list of our investors, I think, hopefully. Well, maybe not, never mind. Plan B didn't work either. So we do have several investors from 2021. We did finish the year with 3 net new investors in addition to the ones that we've had for a really long time. But if you want to go to our website, that website is www.grow.com, stands for Grow Johnson County, Missouri.com. You'll see a list of our investors on there. The 3 new ones that we have this year, we did get additional funding from school districts, primarily because of our deployment of much of the recovery funding through CARES, through other means that we got across the state. And so they came in and was a partner with JCEDC as we deployed some of those funding, ESSER funds and other funding that became available in 2021. So what are our goals? If you recall really quickly, in our strategic plan that we adopted in 2018, we actually had as our core, and will continue to have as our core, our core goal is to support Johnson County businesses. Those are small, those are medium sized, those are large. We also retain businesses of the primary nature and also small businesses. We also work with those folks that may not always be primary in nature. And then we do business recruitment, which is the one that everybody always likes to read about in the newspapers, right? That's the fun part of economic development. Although we do very little of that in comparison to just business as usual items. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. So, but if you're in economic development and you're not doing business retention, business development, business attraction, you're not in economic development in my book. I mean, that really is the core of what we do and what we do in this profession that I really love so much. So if you're not doing those things, you're probably not calling yourself an economic developer. The other items that we adopted in 2018 with the strategic plan allowed us to expand placemaking and talent attraction, retention, and development. And so why did we add those items to some of those core business activities? That's because today's economic development world, talent and placemaking actually come first. So in the old days, we used to have businesses that would come and they would just look for a site. It would almost always be real estate driven. And then they would advertise for employees and employees would come. Well, those days are kind of long gone and have been for the last probably 10 years, if I was honest. Now, people choose where they live based on the place, the quality of place, the community, the things that they want to see in the community. And Warrensburg has some great assets. And many of our partners, we're just part of that team, but many of you have mobilized those assets and made Warrensburg a true quality place for a lot of people that are looking to, you know, grow their career or take the next step in life or whatever the case may be. And so we're just happy to be a part of that team. Our role in fostering placemaking is to provide primarily data and research and what the trends are and things like that. So if you ever have a need for that kind of information, we probably have it on the shelf. I'm not going to bore you with it tonight, though. I know you're all wanting me to look at more data, but we'll just move along for another night. The other item that we did the last 3 years was we became a small business development center for Johnson County. We actually signed a contract with the state, the University of Missouri, and the Small Business Development Center at the state. And we have access to all of their resources. We have access to all of their CRM systems. We have access to all of their data, all of their industry data. And so that then gets mobilized to help entrepreneurs that are interested in investing in our area in Johnson County, in Warrensburg. And last year, we provide no cost, confidential, one-on-one counseling with small businesses who maybe just have an idea, all the way from that idea all to exit. And so we provided 557 counseling hours last year to small businesses. We had 160 hours worth of training that we offered, and we had many participants, well over 190 participants last year in our training events. So, and those are all done regionally through State Fair Community College, which is where our contract is. But if you know of a small business person that's struggling or wants to go to the next level, don't let them just flounder. We have resources here. Doesn't cost them a thing, and it's always confidential. The thing we're going to focus on tonight is talent, retention, development, and attraction. As you know, it's been very challenging. If you are in the employer world, and we hear this from all the employers across Johnson County, across Missouri, across the US, very challenging to hire people. We have way more jobs than we have people to fill them. And that is a demographic situation. That is not going to get remediated anytime soon. In fact, it's only going to get worse. So we have to figure out a way to help our employers transition in a way that fits with their business model, and either automate or do some other things that they need to be doing in order to attract the talent or develop the talent that they need. Regional economic development has always been a linchpin in our strategy. We firmly believe in it. We want to help and support our partners regionally, and we rely on them as well for resources and other aspects to work regionally, either primarily on the business recruitment side through the Central Missouri Economic Development Alliance that we formed back in 2007. So guiding your business journey is part of our SBDC mantra. I'm just going to skip through that. I've already talked a little bit about that in our microloan program. I actually have the wrong presentation. Okay, Gary. You have the wrong presentation, my friend. That's okay. Was it in the folder? 2022 folder?
There was
Okay.
one on there that said
Okay.
City of Warrensburg, February.
Okay,
14th.
sorry, that's my fault. Okay, I can wing it. So we're gonna talk a little bit about, this is last year's presentation, actually. So go back to, thank you. So the economic snapshot that we wanted to spend a little bit of time going over was that Johnson County has a population of 54,000 people, as you know by the census. The greater region is home to almost 1 million. So the greater region in our book is our region around Johnson County and includes much of our labor force. And so it includes a little bit of Jackson County. So there are 1 million people in that region that we call the greater region around Johnson County and including Johnson County. That county population and labor force has shown a pretty steady historic growth, although we're starting to wane a little bit over the last couple of years. Basically, it's just a function of birth, death, and in-migration. And so we're just not having as many babies as we used to, and we're all getting older, right? So that's just a function of the demographic situation. The county and the greater region are similar in terms of population age breakdowns, except for Warrensburg and Johnson County have a little bit of advantage with regard to the talent pipeline because we have a much younger average population here. And so when site consultants look at that number, they see a good talent pipeline because, you know, our average age isn't 40, where we only have a few more years left of working age, that kind of thing. The median household income is a little lower than normal or than our counterparts. And that is because primarily we are younger. So people haven't had enough time to generate enough wealth primarily in their careers or their situations that they're in. They're usually single family homes or single person homes. And so they don't have as much time to create that wealth as they normally would. Your 2021 top 15 employers, actually we have the top 20 on our website. You can go look at those, but I can tell you anybody guess the number one? It's pretty easy. Whiteman Air Force Base is our number one employer here in Johnson County. They actually took a reduction last year from their 2020 FY year from their 2019 FY year. And they came down almost 1,000 to 8,249 persons that are working there at Whiteman Air Force Base. I won't go through the rest of the list, but for those that are interested, our largest private employer is still Intersys Energy Products at 630. And our next highest private industry employer is Dollar Tree Distribution Center at 390. We have several tax supported entities on that list. And so the need to diversify our list becomes apparent when you look at our top 20. The greater labor force, when I talked about that 1 million included Jackson County and Johnson County, their labor force has actually been increasing pretty steadily over time, but significantly since 2017. Ours, on the other hand, has done the opposite. We have lost significant numbers in our labor force since 2017. And I think that's being felt by a lot of our employers, particularly. It's just becoming more prevalent here in the Knox County area. And it's not that we haven't done anything wrong or we're not keeping people like we should. It's just a matter of demographics and labor force statistics. As people kind of move in, move out, we've just lost a little bit of our labor force since 2017. And hopefully we'll be able to kind of change that path in the next 4 or 5 years with some of the recruitment strategies that we have in mind. For those that don't know, we have a pretty significant number of folks that actually live in Johnson County, but work outside of that Johnson County area. For example, we have a workforce here in Johnson County of 8,569 persons. Almost half of those live in Johnson County, but don't work in Johnson County. So 50% of those folks are driving to Sedalia, Marshall, the city primarily, and other points outside of Johnson County. So if we can try to keep those folks here, provide a job that they can see themselves in, making a wage that they can see themselves living with, then I think that we will do a better job of trying to keep those people working in Johnson County. So I pulled the jobs report this morning, actually, for 2014. And so There were 446 jobs available within a 10-mile radius of this zip code, 64093, that were posted in the last 2 weeks, 446 jobs. Many of those are in the healthcare and related fields. Obviously, Western Missouri Medical Center, a lot of the hospitals around the area, Bothwell, Golden Valley down in Clinton. They're also in the office administrative support area, food prep and serving, sales and related occupations, transportation and material moving, which would be a direct impact from the Dollar Tree project, and other employers in the area. Actually, Whiteman Air Force Base has several on that list. Alstom's has several on that list, Intersys, and of course, Western Missouri Medical Center were the other ones on there that had a high volume of job openings that they were trying to fill on that. So if you know of anyone that's interested in working, we have way more jobs than we have people to fill them, as I started out the presentation with. So what's causing these labor shortages? There's a wonderful chart that I wish you could see. And it highlights many of the, I'll pass it around. It highlights many of the labor shortage issues, and it's a complex situation. And you'll see, I love this chart because it breaks it down into individuals and, things that individuals can do things about, things that employers can do things about, things that institutions like our education system can do things about, the community. And so, and then under those categories are all the things that they might have control of that would bring about a labor shortage. And then if you looked at it conversely, you could do something about. So if you remedied those shortage situations, you would have some solutions to the labor shortage. As you know, and you've heard me say it before, the community's capacity to grow is driven by its ability to retain and develop the talent it already has, as well as attract new talent to the community. And that is a quote from Janet Adey, who does a lot of our economic development work and strategic planning. So Janet recently helped us go through a very innovative project. So Janet Adey is a well-respected site consultant, she's actually second generation, been in the business for many, many years. Her father was in the business, Robert Adey, and she has a specialty in smaller markets. So she specializes in more rural areas of the US and smaller employers when she does recruitment. So employers, businesses pay her to do site selection work, to find a location that fits their needs. And so Janet Adey, we started with Janet when we did the community competitive assessment back in 2016. She actually took one look at Brady Commerce Park at the time, and she goes, "Why aren't you marketing this? This is a rock star site. You've got to, then she goes, she's famous for lists, right? She did 161 work items for us or something like that. And so she made a list of all the things that we needed to be doing to market the Brady Commerce Park site. And we accomplished several of those. And then we had some conversations with the state of Missouri and, lots of work and many partnerships around this room. Later, Dollar Tree is here at Brady Commerce Park. And so she is kind of the one that set us on the path to getting things kind of right with Brady Commerce Park. And so we asked her to come back, and we did something pretty innovative. We started with a talent study back in 2019. We were getting ready to roll out a supply side survey. We were getting ready to roll out a demand side survey, and COVID hit, and we just put the brakes on everything and said, well, everything's too disrupted. We'll come back to this at another time. And so it seemed right to do a Brady Commerce Park blueprint marketing plan that combined not only targeted industries. So who are we going after in terms of our businesses? Who are we talking to? what things are of interest to them. How do we narrow the marketing approach? Instead of the shotgun, we're using a rifle. And we're getting to the site consultants that do those kinds of projects. So it included that. And then knowing that we are challenged and our employers are challenged with talent issues and workforce issues, we didn't want to recruit in a vacuum. So we coupled the targeted industry recruitment effort with a talent development and recruitment specifically for those industries that we were going after and nobody else. So it combines not only who are you talking to in the businesses, but who do we need to recruit? What do we need to develop in terms of that talent to drive those industries forward? Does that make sense? So we asked her to come back and provide that for us. And she did that. She rolled it out it's probably a couple weeks ago at the board meeting. And so I'll be honest, we haven't had a chance to look at it and really digest it a whole lot, but just a few highlights from that. We did talk quite a bit about who are the targeted industries for Brady Commerce. And we wanted to be sensitive to the neighborhoods that surrounded Brady Commerce Park. We wanted to make sure that, yes, it is an industrial park. Yes, it is a commerce park, but it's so much more than that. And so we wanted to make sure that we were sensitive to those neighborhoods and doing the right thing in that area. And so we landed on targets that weren't heavy noise, didn't create a lot of light, weren't smelly, all of those things that you want to make sure that you're sensitive to around neighborhoods and things like that. And the businesses that come in there, they want to be sensitive to that too. They don't want to create issues or challenges for anybody. And so they'll go on down the road. It's just really easy to go down the road and not mess with it. So I won't go through the targets, but if you guys want to look at that, we can send the link around and you can listen to the video and listen to what the targets are. But I won't drill down, but it's specialty food processing, which is not like your Tyson, just for the record. It is like beverage manufacturing, very small niche manufacturing, those kinds of things that are conducive to specialty food processing. Breweries and distilleries, since we already have a strength and a value in that area, value added wood products, engineering and technical services, and cybersecurity, computer systems and software development. Those are the targets. And those weren't just picked out of the air random. Those are created by science. Those targets are specifically designed because they have a value proposition here in Johnson County and in the greater region. So they're specific to us and what items that we have here in Missouri that would be conducive to the growth of that industry. Then we also did talent target audience identification, which would be the talent alignment for those industries. And so we have a list of work items that we have to do in order to develop and recruit talent aligned with those industries that I just mentioned. And there's several in that work plan that that you can kind of listen to in the video if you want to look at that. I don't know. Well, I will mention that engineers and software developers, there's a whole strategy around that recruitment and development. Obviously, the university plays a big role in that. And then we get down to the semi-skilled middle wage occupations. And Janet and her team have created a whole strategy around recruiting primarily for those material moving occupations, maintenance occupations, and computer support specialists, because those semi-skilled jobs are applicable in almost every industry that we have here in the region. And so that's a good target for us to develop and then attract. And then the lower skilled, we talked a lot about automation. And so there's a great chart in the video and in the presentation that shows the amount of workforce that we have here in Johnson County that is heavily prone to automation. So what do those look like? Those are cashiers, those are food service, those are hotel motel accommodation service providers. A lot of those jobs are going to be automated in the future, next 5 years probably. And so much of our workforce is in that category. And you can see as we take those jobs and we upskill those folks if they want to, they can get better wages, more opportunities, I guess, for advancement in other career choices. And so taking those lower skills and moving them up in terms of training, other occupations, and for them to have a path to get there. That's the other strategy here. Obviously, UCM, a lot of our school districts and State Fair Community College are part of that conversation as well. So I think I'll end there. You know what we look like. There we are. We have 2.5 folks. Actually, Christina is our 100% remote worker. She works 15 hours a week for us as our communications coordinator, and we couldn't be happier with that situation. She just does a rock star job, and we're learning to, like most employers are, we're learning to bring those folks into the office and have fun and do things that you wouldn't normally do as an employer a long time ago. But just to make sure we still have employee engagement, that we're still making it fun for folks to work at JCEDC, but yet still be productive, and there's a balance to that. And so we're still trying to learn that, or Tracy's still trying to learn that because she's old and has a hard time with that. But happy to answer any questions if you haven't. I know I kind of raced through that, and we didn't get to look at any charts, darn it. Gary saved you.
Thank you very much for
All right.
coming in tonight.
Well, it's great to be here. If you have any questions, please let me know. And hopefully, my door's always open. Just give me a call or write. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you for all that you do. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to move on to item 6 now, public hearings. We have 6.1, public hearing on an ordinance amending a conditional use permit for utility facility at 1705 Montserrat Park Road, presented by Bart.
Thank you, Mayor. City Council, this is the property at 1705 Montserrat Park Road, owned by Missouri American Water Company, and they operate a water treatment facility at that location and have for many, many years. This is the same land use 18.200 that you're familiar with from the last several months, where we had a conditional use permit come through from Evergy, a similar land use utility operating in any zoning district in Warrensburg requires a conditional use permit. And so that's what they're here this evening. They actually already have a conditional use permit to operate at that location that was granted in 2006 when they did some upgrades at that time. And so what they're asking this evening is to amend the site plan that was approved in 2006 to the site plan that you have here this evening. This is their preliminary site plan. Staff has reviewed this sufficient to believe that it can conform with all of the city's codes and ordinances. There are some changes that staff would request, and so we will ask them to submit a final site plan with their building permit in the future, and that staff be granted the authority to approve that. And so you have that in the ordinance as a condition in the ordinance. But the change that they're making is that they're adding a building on the north end of the property. On the site plan, it's called out as a new chemical feed building, and this is a safety upgrade. Certainly there are representatives from the applicant here if you have questions about that. But they're adding a 45-foot by 50-foot pre-engineered metal building on the north end of the property, and that would be the only change to it. It does not require any additional parking on the site. There will be some changes to driveways to access the building. And there is a 30-foot setback from the north property line because that's adjacent to a residential area. And so they are able to meet that setback with the location of the building as it's shown on the preliminary site plan. Staff has recommended approval for the reasons outlined in the staff report. The Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval at their meeting last week with the condition that you see included and incorporated in the ordinance before you this evening. Happy to answer any questions. If you have any, yeah, we have not received any public comment on this one.
What was gonna be stored in the building? What was the use of the building?
The use of the building is, I can't remember which chemical.
Sodium hypochlorite.
Okay.
Questions? Is there anybody in the auditorium? This is a public hearing, so is there anybody in the conference room there that has anything on this particular item? Okay. So we'll close that public hearing and go on to 6.2. We have a public hearing on an ordinance rezoning land on the west side of the 1100 block of South Mitchell Street from general business to R4, presented by Barr.
This is a request by Tina Simon, who's also here this evening as a personal representative of the estate of James T. Meyer. This, who owns the property. There are 9 lots on the west side of Mitchell Street that are currently undeveloped. These are both on the north and the south side of Deer Run. All of them are currently zoned general business. And the request is to rezone those to R4 medium density multifamily residence district. The comprehensive city plan shows this area north of Deer Run as medium density residential and the property south of Deer Run as neighborhood commercial. And the trend in the development in that area is a mixture of single family, multifamily, and industrial uses. There's an industrial district on the east side, just kind of southeast of this area. Staff has received public comment from those. There are 4 comments listed there in your staff report. Planning and Zoning Commission recommended approval at their meeting last Monday. And you have a copy of their findings and recommendation in your packet. Staff has recommended approval because the requested zone is an extension of an existing R4 district in that on the east side of Mitchell Street. As well, R4 is considered a down zoning from the general business district that's currently there. R4 would be a less intensive use and would not allow the many commercial uses that general business would allow, which would be more intrusive and have a greater impact on the residential in that area. The proposed land use that's been requested is in keeping with the general trend of development in the area and the comprehensive city plan. As well, Mitchell Street is a collector street, and that is designed to carry a larger volume of traffic. Our collectors and arterials are, Mitchell in particular is a collector. As well as an R4 district, it will require a buffer between it and any adjacent residential single family, which there is some adjacent to the west. So staff has recommended approval, planning and zoning recommended approval, and that is in your ordinance for consideration. Be happy to answer any questions. And the applicant's here as well if you have questions of her.
No questions. Since it is a public hearing, anybody in the auditorium there that wants to speak? Come forward. Please state your name and address, please.
Randy Vick, 501 Hamilton.
Welcome.
Thank you. One question I would have, you mentioned a buffer zone. Can you describe the buffer and what that's going to consist of? A permanent kind of a buffer?
R4 adjacent to R1 requires a type C buffer along the common property line. So the type C buffer is described as screened by plantings to 90% opacity to 7 feet in height, with a minimum of 30% of plantings reaching 40 feet in height at maturity, and a minimum 6-foot solid barrier. Now that is reduced if it's along a street. Sorry, I don't think these are, but if the common line is a street, then that's cut in half. Solid barrier is a fence. Now, they are not that size when installed. They meet those sizes at maturity. So that's several years down the road.
Okay, well, yeah, my concern about this, I don't live there. My son and daughter-in-law live on Deer Run. And Deer Run has developed just within the last 5 years. I mean, those residential lots have been for sale for 25 years at least. And it's all single-family housing on Deer Run. And just in the last 5 years, all those lots have been sold and are being built and have been built. Last year, there was a variance requested in my son's backyard and to convert it from single family or whatever it was. To be honest, I don't remember what it was before, but converted to R4. The Planning and Zoning Commission voted not to approve the variance, and City Council overrode the Planning and Zoning Commission and approved that, so that now the people that have built $300,000 houses, single family dwellings, have the possibility of having multifamily dwellings in their backyard. And now you're going to have multifamily dwellings right across the street from them in their front yard. There may or may not be some kind of barrier. Okay. The commercial, it was zoned commercial. That commercial development would have been right along Mitchell, and it wouldn't have affected Deer Run. But you're going to convert it, and I know that the real estate agent that has had that property for sale, been the real estate agent for that property all these years, has told me that they plan to fill that big ditch that runs through there so that they can develop that and build on all that land there. And that would make it right across the street from these single family dwellings. And it seems to me if you're going to have zoning in Warrensburg, and we've had it for many years now, there's got to be a better way of managing the zoning than waiting until people develop a street with single family dwellings and then put multifamily dwellings in front of them, behind them, surround them. It's going to ruin their property value. It might not change the property value as far as the tax assessor is concerned, but when you try to resell your property, you're not going to be able to get what that property is valued at or what it's worth. So I would really hope that you wouldn't approve this variance.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Good evening. My name is Anita Love, and I do live on Deer Run. I've just built a house there, single family. I am concerned, just like Mr. Vic had spoken, about now being encircled by multifamily residents, and that it's going to bring more people, more cars, more noise. So there's a lot of concern, even though it does state with city ordinances that there has to be a buffer. We don't think it's going to buffer as much as we, the residents, would like. I think it will be difficult to sell our residences in the future because you are in the middle of rental property. Therefore, probably our houses will be sold as rental property. And so we would like for you to take a moment, look at it, realize the people who are currently living there are not all for it. And, I'd be all for if you want to zone it as R1, if you want to change from general business, which I know that area not as likely to sell as general business, but as multifamily, and maybe it would sell for a higher price. Maybe a zoned R1 would also sell at a higher price. So anyway, please deliberate, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Can you hear me if I stay here, sir?
Yes, we can do just fine. Thank you.
My name's Tony Beck. I'm the son. We live at 1014 Deer Run, which is right across the street from these lots. And we bought those lots knowing it was zoned commercial, which would stick to Metro. And just like my father stated, they already shot down the zoning's request for land to the south of us and rezoned it. And from what they said at that zoning committee was it could be 3 to 4 story tall apartment complexes going in. And this is really our forever home. We were the first ones to buy on that lot because of my condition, and changing it from going commercial, which from the previous briefing we just had, sounds like we need more commercial, and making it apartments doesn't fit with what we just heard. So we'd like you to take that into consideration.
Thank you, Tony. Anybody else? Public comment? Okay, with that, I'm gonna close the public comment, go on to, now these are first reading only ordinance on these two items. Item number 771. First reading of an ordinance amending a conditional use permit for utility facility at 1705 Montserrat Park. Okay. 7.2. First reading of an ordinance rezoning land on the west side of the 1100 block of South Mitchell Street from general business to R4. Okay. 7.3. First reading of an ordinance approving the final plat of Juniper Ridge 4th plat. Barb, will you?
Few months ago, the council considered the preliminary plat of of Juniper Ridge 4th plat. This plat is consistent with the preliminary plat that was presented last fall. This is on the west side of Spring Ridge Road, just north of the Iron Horse subdivision. It creates 18 buildable lots, one tract on the west end of the project, and it creates one new street, Mahogany Court. This property is in a it's in a multifamily district, and I'm not sure if it's an R3 or an R4. I don't have that in the staff report. But the lots are sized such that they could accommodate duplexes, and the ones on the far end around the cul-de-sac are sized that they could handle higher density multifamily structures higher than two units. The applicant has indicated to staff duplexes, but the lot size would not restrict them to just that on the west end of the cul-de-sac area. There are no special conditions or features that require an exception. Staff has recommended approval with 2 conditions. Those are included in the ordinance for your approval. The first is that they provide an engineered soils report prior to applying for the first building permit. We actually did receive that last week after this was submitted for the packet. And then also to show the current ownership and notary block. Prior to recording, we anticipate it will change legal entities from a same basic owner, but putting it in a different entity, but prior to the plat being recorded. Planning and zoning recommended approval at their meeting last week. It's on your agenda for first reading this evening. The applicant is attending by Zoom. If you have any questions for myself or for him, we can answer those.
Questions on that?
Mayor, if I could interrupt
Yes.
just real quick, I do think we have a lot of folks in the audience who are not typically here with us on the second and fourth Mondays. And just, can you maybe explain a little bit what the first reading is and why the city council is not taking any action on the first two items that we just heard, as well as this third one this evening?
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you. For anybody that is curious on that, what we do is you have two readings on it. And so the first reading is information. Like, for instance, the first two, we had public comment that gives us a chance just to listen to folks, ask questions. We do a first reading, it requires a second. Typically, unless there's a reason for it, we'll split the next reading into a future council session, typically 2 weeks. And this gives us a chance to take what folks say, go visit places if we want to, et cetera, and so that we can make a better, more informed decision than just off of paper. So that give you what you wanted, ma'am?
Yeah, thank you very much. And just so you all know, the second reading for those ordinances will be at the February 28th city council meeting, when the city council takes action.
Okay, so thanks, Daniel, for that. 7.4, first reading of an ordinance to execute contract with Instaform Technologies, USA LLC for the 2022 sanitary sewer main lining project.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council this evening. This is our annual sanitary sewer main lining project. We budgeted $175,000 in 2022 to line our clay pipes in some of the older, more mature parts of our community, to line those clay pipes to prevent that inflow and infiltration that we experience when we have rains or just from groundwater getting into our sewer system. We had anticipated being able to line approximately 7,800 feet of sewer main this year. However, when the prices came in, that price came in at $190,000. So we have reduced the total linear feet by approximately 700, which will bring the total project into budget at $174,366. This is actually Instaform Technologies. They were the first ones who did this for us several years ago, and they've had the project a couple times. They were actually low bid this year versus SAK, who we have typically used in the last 3 or 4 years. So we will have a new contractor performing. However, we have experience and we are comfortable with this group coming in and performing this work for us.
Question? Okay. 7.5, first reading to execute contract with Empire Electric Service for wastewater treatment plant SCADA system upgrade.
So the SCADA upgrade system, SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. This is the computer network that automates our sewer treatment plant. Without SCADA, we would not be able to automatically operate that system. So if it is to go down, we would have to be out there manually turning on valves, manually closing pumps, restarting pumps. You guys get the picture, 24 hours a day, because the sewer runs 24 hours a day. The existing SCADA system that we have in place is proprietary, and it can only be maintained, programmed, and upgraded by a single company. A significant portion of those components are no longer being manufactured by the company, which makes repairs, replacements difficult and rendering the system obsolete. A complete upgrade is necessary. We contracted with Allstate Engineering to redesign the SCADA system with non-proprietary equipment for the whole system. That way we could have different vendors come in with different equipment and really make sure that we don't get in the current situation that we are in today. Additionally, the new SCADA system is necessary. As you know, we've talked about in previous budget cycles, we are going to have to upgrade both treatment plants, add an SBR at each plant in the next 4 to 5 years, because we are almost at capacity with our current wastewater treatment system. So this SCADA upgrade will be able to accommodate those future upgrades. We received 2 bids on the January 19th. Empire Electric was the lowest and best bid. However, it was approximately $400,000 over budget. We budgeted $1.2 million for this project, and it came in at about 1.6. We took our pencils back to the bid, back to the project, and we value engineered cutting what we could out of it. However, we were only able to cut about $56,000 out of the SCADA project. Going back to our budget, fortunately, we're still in the very first quarter or so of our project budget year. We looked at several projects that we could postpone into the next fiscal year. So this would include demolition of the former West wastewater treatment plant. You'll recall we were able to demo the East wastewater treatment plant last year. The former West wastewater treatment plant is next to the animal shelter. It has been decommissioned since for over 25 years now. That was really going to create space for us to store some of our equipment, to be able to, the police department used to use it as a shooting range. We no longer use it out there. So we are in no danger. Postponing this project is not going to affect the normal operations of our wastewater treatment system. The other projects that we will be cutting would be the reed bed cleanout, stainless steel countertops for the laboratory, as well as grit removal from the West plant digester. I will say the grit removal from the West plant digester is an important project that we need to get complete. However, we are not able to find someone to provide that service for us at this time. So we are going to postpone it until next year while we continue to research. That creates about $275,000 additional dollars for us to put towards the SCADA upgrade. We are still $120,000 short. We do believe that revenues are coming in stronger than anticipated. So we believe we will be able to cover this additional expense with those additional revenues. However, if revenues do not stay on track with where they are now, we will have to spend $120,000 of our wastewater reserves. There are adequate reserves available for this project. This is a very important project. Therefore, our recommendation is to remove those other projects from the budget and spend reserves if necessary to complete it. Stand for any questions this evening.
No, stuff's getting more and more expensive all the time, yeah. Thank you. Okay, item number 8, second reading of an ordinance. So this is a second reading of an ordinance authorizing the city manager enter into a memorandum of understanding between the city of Warrensburg and Johnson County for assistance with criminal investigation. Any questions for the chief?
Honorable Mayor and council members, this is just a MOU reference to our proactive crimes division and Johnson County's crime resolution team. They'll be working together. They've been working together for approximately the last 3-4 years. But this is going to strengthen their working relationship. And besides them having commissions, the MOU will be signed. If they do stuff out in the county, if our officers work with them in the county and something happens, it strengthens that relationship and gives us a little more teeth with it. So. Any questions?
Somebody want to give a motion?
Move to second reading by title. Or first. Motion. Just move to approve. So move to approve.
An ordinance authorizing the city manager to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the city of Warrensburg and Johnson County for assistance with criminal investigations. Brooks,
Yes.
Kushner.
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Holmberg.
Yes. Okay, so item number 9, we do have a first and second reading of an ordinance, first and second reading, accepting the streets, sanitary sewer and storm sewer associated with Cahill subdivision phase 6.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This evening, we are respectfully requesting a first and second reading for the acceptance of streets, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer. associated with the K Hill subdivision Phase 6. Phase 6 is the single-family homes for this K Hill subdivision that is just northeast of Veterans Road, and on the east side of Larson, they're extending Larson Street. But it is still west of what is formerly double HH Highway. So all of those improvements have been inspected and they have been tested by city staff. We respectfully request a first and second reading on that so the developer can start moving forward with building houses.
Move to pass that ordinance to second reading by title.
Brooks,
Yes.
Kushner,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Holmberg.
Yes.
An ordinance accepting the streets, sanitary sewer, and storm sewer associated with K Hill subdivision Phase 6, lots 195 through 219 for maintenance by the city of Warrensburg, Missouri. This is for adoption or rejection. Brooks,
Yes.
Kushner,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Holmberg.
Yes. Okay. Going on to other business, 10-1 Art Commission Grant Award Resolution. Resolution awarding Arts Commission grant to University of Central Missouri Division of Music to host Blink Beats in April 2022. Marcel?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you this evening is a resolution awarding the grant to the University of Central Missouri Division of Music to host the Blink Beats in April of 22. So each year, the Arts Commission presents to council to adopt in part of the budget grants to different organizations to do art projects throughout the year. And so the university has approached us to do this as one of the first grants for the year. It's a $500 request for this grant, and the budget included in the adopted budget for 22 includes $3,000 to award these types of grants by the Arts Commission. Questions? Thank you.
Do we have a motion?
Move to approve.
Brooks,
Yes.
Kushner,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Holmberg.
Yes. Okay, item number 11, appearances to the council not listed on the agenda. Greg? Max, Ridenhour, I just totally probably messed that up.
Exactly right.
Well, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mayor Holmberg. My name is Max Ridenhour, and I am the business owner of PCMR Computer Services here in Warrensburg. I was born here, grew up here, and started my business here in Warrensburg my senior year of high school. I've loved every bit of growing up here and started my own business, which is now going on its 4th year. We recently started the stressful but exciting process of moving our operations from here in downtown Warrensburg to an old insurance building by the Veterans Affairs Clinic on Business 50. We've been in the process of renovating the space for the past 2 months and are just about ready to open to the public. One of the last things we had to do was get inspected and receive our occupancy license to open. So I called City Hall and we did an inspection last Monday. After meeting with the inspector, I was told about the parking lot and the requirement of having a hard surface lot. Now, we don't own the building, we will be leasing it. I have been in talks with my landlord for the past few months about getting this project done, and I've been heavily involved in those talks. I have almost daily conversations with the local contractor to see how close we are to completing all the requirements that the city does require. Everything from a hard surface parking lot to the curb and gutter and a sidewalk in front of our building, it's gonna look great once it's all done. Really excited. The reason why I'm standing in front of you, the council, tonight is because of the process and that I'm frustrated that there is no way for me to open my business without that parking lot being finished. The inside of our building is finished and is ready to pass inspection, but because of the parking lot, I now must keep my doors closed to the new location. Now, anyone listening to my sob story is going to think, why did you not get it done? You knew the requirements beforehand. And like I said before, we are currently working on it. We're working with the local concrete business to complete this project as soon as possible, but the city is requiring everything from surveyors and engineers, which are hard to come by right now. So how many trees are planted on the property? I'm not going to call out any businesses, but do some of our big box stores north of town have 1 tree planted for every 10 parking spots, which is an actual requirement located at chapter 27, section 27, paragraph 552 of the city code? Do some of our businesses south of McGuire have curb and gutter and a sidewalk that is required by the city? Based off my observations driving around town, that answer is no. Instead, the city is going to pick on small businesses like mine to require a major project that is going to cost tens of thousands of dollars paid for by my landlord and myself, let alone the fact that contractors are pretty busy right now and winter is a terrible time to be pouring a new concrete parking lot. But putting all those frustrations aside, the most upsetting part of this is that my business is now in limbo because my parking lot is gravel and not a hard surface. A parking lot that has been gravel since it was developed 70 years ago when it was the old Standard Oil bulk station. And I can't even get a temporary permit for 6 months while we wait for an engineer to stamp our plans and the contractor to come out and pour the lot. If there is a temporary permit that lasted 6, 9, or maybe even 12 months, we could very easily get this major project done. I could stay open, keep my employees employed, and assist residents and businesses with their IT needs. Now, I understand that something may not be able to be done tonight, being that this is public comment. I do recognize that this has been an issue for quite some time, though, especially along our historic Business 50 corridor that is unfortunately keeping businesses from opening because of the major costs involved with these requirements. I understand that there has been talk about our planning and zoning codes, but I just want to reiterate that these codes are causing businesses in this town to either not want to open here or close up shop altogether. Think about that. Future businesses in this town either don't want to open here or they just close up shop altogether. I've spoken to dozens of current and prospective business owners that were thinking about opening in Warrensburg and were held back by our planning and zoning ordinances. Not the funding for their business, not the workforce of this area, and not even the target audience of that business. They could barely get their business off the ground because of the city codes. I'm hearing things firsthand now. I've been trying to find engineers to design this parking lot, but once I said Warrensburg, they said, never mind. One of the current bids was actually higher just because it was a property in Warrensburg. I am begging you, the council, elected by the residents, including myself, of this town, to promote a great community and make it a place where I can run a business as a young entrepreneur without being held back by requirements that are hampering me from continuing to run my business. We need to revisit our city codes and make sure that they have been created to not only keep the residents safe, but also promote a business-friendly environment, allowing for temporary solutions if the need ever arises, such as in my case. Warrensburg Main Street, an organization which I am highly involved in, I know has been working to set up discussions regarding our ordinances for quite some time now. But I also want to reiterate that we need to create an open forum of some sort with planning and zoning, the council, developers in town, small business owners, residents, and anyone else who wants to get involved so we can figure out how we can make Warrensburg an easier place to develop and start businesses. I just hope we can come up with something in the meantime to help businesses want to make Warrensburg their future home. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Mike. Moving on to 13.1, Art Commission appointment. I have a gentleman, Steve Carter, that I recruited for Arts Commission, and he's applied, so I'd like to appoint him.
Move to approve.
Brooks,
Yeah.
Kushner,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Holmberg.
Yes. Director of Finance report.
Before you this evening is the Director of Finance report. It's got some pretty good news in it, and I'm happy to report the sales tax collections for the 1st of February are back up. We took a little pause the 1st of January. I think, just in the timing, probably more than anything in the distribution from the state of Missouri, but Currently, staff is doing a great job of managing budget, excuse me. And so we appreciate the management team being able to do that and keeping things on track, and appreciate all of the citizens and everything that's happening to allow our sales tax dollars to progress at the rate that they're going, and hopefully they will continue to grow.
Thank you. Item 15, city manager report.
So 2 weeks from today, we will be hosting a job fair at the community center. It's open to any business that would like to participate. It's free. It'll be from 4 to 7. We all know everybody's hiring. Tracy talked about it. Selfishly, we have a lot of summer jobs that will be opening, and they should be posted on the website this week. But we want to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to come out and see all the jobs that are available in Warrensburg. If you're interested in signing up for that, I can send you the link. We hope to have at least 27 businesses there, but we're not quite there yet. So
What was the date of that?
it's 2/28, so 2 weeks from today. It'll be from 4 to 7.
Good evening. Just a couple of quick updates. We were able to extend offers to 3 employees, to 3 prospective employees to fill vacancies. We still have 2 vacancies open. We're working on 1 in the process, and then we'll have 1 left after that. We've been working with some community partners that have made some construction materials available and some resources to continue to expand our training facilities for all of our new employees and added work with that. So we've been able to accomplish a lot over in that facility. And then in the city manager report, I've also included the 2021 annual report. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you had any after reviewing that.
I ran into some of the Johnson County Fire Department folks, including chief, and they were very appreciative. I talked to them today at Mary Jane's of all places, where I ever hang out there to eat. And anyway, so great support on that fire.
Yep, it was a big event, and we all get together and help each other out. Thank you.
And I apologize to council. I didn't ask about miscellaneous matters from the mayor and or city council, so yeah, I'm going back if there's anything.
Oh, I just wanted to make sure you let the staff know they did a great job with cleaning the streets during the last snow that we had. They did a pretty good job getting out there, making sure those were clear. I was gonna say something about the assisting with the fire. You guys had a pretty busy event out there, it looked like. And then also I know police department had a busy week with the things that are happening around town, high school specifically. Only other thing, I mean, you'll probably talk about it, Danielle, I didn't know where we were on the waste management updates that we discussed before. It's just so if you could update that, I mean, give me an update on that.
Chief Munsterman has one quick thing, and then I can wrap up and address that.
Okay.
So we had a busy last week. We served a search warrant just south of town and was able to take a couple people into custody there. But besides that, we had promotions last week. We had 3 promoted to corporal. We had a process on Thursday, and it would be Khalil Hood was acting corporal. He was promoted to corporal, so he'll be corporal on night shift patrol. And then Tyler Drake was acting corporal, and he was finished, and he'll be patrol corporal during the day. And then Stephanie Prendle actually came through, and she was top out of everyone. She will be investigations corporal underneath Sergeant Chad Bowles. So thank you.
So for the city manager's report, a quick addition to what was included in your packet. We actually received an email from the U.S. Department of Transportation today to schedule our race grant debrief for Friday afternoon. So we're very excited for that opportunity and looking forward to sharing with you all the feedback that we got from them on our grant that was unsuccessful in 2021. But hopefully we can make it stronger and more competitive this upcoming grant season. Councilmember Bentley asked me to follow up on the solid waste plan. We continue to have issues with Republic. They did change their routes around. It seems, we thought that routes that were on Monday were getting picked up regularly, but that is not the case now either. Communication between management team, between Barb and myself, and Republic's leadership is starting to break down as well. So we are starting to have. We're very concerned about the situation. We were concerned previously, but now that lines of communication are starting to break down, we're feeling very troubled by that. So we are continuing to try to work with them. The solid waste plan that we updated you all on, we were given the direction to try to find grant dollars to make that happen. We have an opportunity before us. That deadline is going to be mid-March, and then it would not be awarded until probably April or May. So realistically, by the time we get our project together, get our application in, and have that start working, we are still looking at probably not until 2023 until we have that solid waste plan in place. Of course, we would do the study of what would be needed and then use that to update our plan, thinking that we would do both those things simultaneously. But that's an update on that timeline. If we are not successful in getting that grant money, that will obviously be a budget priority that we'll discuss when we develop the 2023 budget. But we are committed to, we have a meeting, I think next week. This Friday. We have another meeting. This will be a big day on Friday. We have another meeting on Friday to talk with that grant administrator to talk through what kind of projects they're looking for and how we can make that a competitive application when we put it for that.
Okay. Item 16, we have a closed session. Would someone read that, please?
Okay. Vote to close part of this meeting pursuant to section 610.021 of the revised statutes of Missouri relating to 3, hiring, firing, disciplining, or promoting of particular employees by a public governmental body when personal information about the employee is discussed or recorded.
Brooks,
Yes.
Kushner,
Yes.
Lund,
Yes.
Bentley,
Yes.
Holmberg.
Yes. All right, we are adjourned. I'm gonna let you run. I don't have.
Executive session.
Yes.
I can handle it.